The story of Kelly Clarkson's emotional journey is often reduced to headlines, but beneath the public image lies a deeper narrative of loss, resilience, and reinvention. In one quiet on-air moment, she appeared composed while speaking to her audience, yet her voice cracked, revealing more than words ever could. It wasn't performance, it was release. Behind the fame, awards, and applause was a woman confronting the collapse of a life she once believed would last forever. To understand that moment, we must step back into the years that reshaped her identity, her marriage, and her understanding of love itself. The on-air crack. On a daytime talk show, Kelly Clarkson sat facing the camera with her familiar warmth and humor. For viewers, it looked like another routine moment of honesty from a beloved host. But something shifted mid-sentence. Her voice faltered, not from laughter or performance, but from emotion too heavy to contain. In that split second, the polished surface of television gave way to something real and unfiltered. The audience may have seen composure return quickly, yet the crack was already visible. It was a reminder that even those who appear strongest can carry invisible weight that eventually finds its way out. Silence. Behind the marriage, behind the public image of her marriage to Brandon Blackstock, life was becoming complicated and emotionally distant. Kelly's world was interconnected with his role as her manager, business partner, and husband. Every decision carried shared responsibility, and every success or struggle was tied together. Over time, communication began to thin, replaced by silence that felt heavier than arguments. What once felt like partnership slowly turned into separation under the same roof. The absence of conflict did not mean peace, it meant disconnection. And in that quiet space, the foundation of their relationship began to erode in ways neither could ignore. When the decision was made, in 2020, Kelly Clarkson made the difficult decision to file for divorce, marking a turning point in her personal life. What the public saw as headlines and legal filings represented something far more emotional behind closed doors. This was not a sudden choice, but the result of years of gradual distance and emotional strain. She had entered her marriage believing in permanence, in the idea that commitment could withstand anything. But reality unfolded differently. The separation forced her to confront not only the end of a relationship, but also the collapse of expectations she had carried since the beginning. Parallel wounds in country music. While Kelly Clarkson navigated her divorce privately and publicly at once, Blake Shelton had already experienced a similar collapse years earlier. His marriage to Miranda Lambert ended in 2015, shocking fans across country music. They were widely seen as a defining couple in the industry, admired for their chemistry and shared success. When it ended, it forced Blake into a period of reflection and emotional rebuilding. He later admitted to struggling with identity and loneliness during that time. Though their experiences were different, both artists found themselves confronting the same reality. Love can reshape identity in unexpected ways and perspective. Gwen Stefani and shared silence. At the same time, Gwen Stefani was also dealing with the end of her long marriage to Gavin Rossdale after more than a decade together. Their separation brought public attention and personal heartbreak that she processed through music and performance. Her work during that period reflected emotional honesty, often revealing pain beneath the surface of her public image. When she later joined The Voice as a coach, she did so while still navigating grief and rebuilding her sense of stability. It was within this environment that she met Blake Shelton, who was also quietly recovering from his own emotional collapse. Finding connection in broken places, Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani's connection developed slowly, rooted not in glamour, but in shared understanding. Both were emerging from painful divorces, carrying emotional weight that made honesty easier than pretense. In the quiet spaces between rehearsals and performances, they began to recognize familiar experiences in each other's stories. There was no rush, no grand narrative, only two people learning to exist again after loss. Blake later described the relationship as something that helped him feel seen during a time when he felt disconnected from himself. Their bond grew from recognition, not rescue, and that distinction mattered deeply and lasting. The isolation of Kelly Clarkson. While others found companionship during difficult transitions, Kelly Clarkson experienced her separation in a more solitary way. Her responsibilities as a mother, performer, and public figure left little room for private emotional processing. She continued working, hosting, and creating, even as her personal life was unraveling behind the scenes. The absence of a shared emotional anchor made the experience more internalized. Rather than leaning on a partner, she was forced to confront change independently. This solitude did not weaken her, but it required a different kind of strength, one built through endurance, reflection, and constant adaptation to uncertainty and growth. Rebuilding identity through music became the place where Kelly Clarkson processed emotions she could not fully express elsewhere. Through songwriting and performance, she transformed personal pain into creative expression that resonated with audiences worldwide. Her work during and after the divorce reflected themes of resilience, self-worth, and emotional honesty. Rather than hiding her experiences, she allowed them to shape her art in ways that felt authentic and unfiltered. This creative process became both an outlet and a form of healing. It helped her reestablish a sense of identity separate from relationships, grounding her in something internal rather than externally defined and deeply personal. Lessons behind the lyrics. Over time, Kelly Clarkson's songs began to reflect a deeper understanding of identity, independence, and emotional resilience. What once may have been interpreted simply as breakup music evolved into something more layered and universal. Her lyrics spoke not only to loss, but also to recovery, self-acceptance, and the process of rebuilding life from within. Fans began to hear their own experiences mirrored in her voice, finding comfort in her honesty. The evolution of her music showed how personal hardship can transform into collective healing, creating meaning that extends far beyond the circumstances that inspired it and continues to resonate. Conclusion. Becoming something new. The story of Kelly Clarkson is not defined by loss alone, but by the way she chose to continue forward through it. While public narratives often focus on heartbreak and relationships, the deeper truth lies in resilience and self-reclamation. Her journey reflects the complexity of rebuilding a life when familiar structures fall apart. In choosing honesty over image, she created space for others to recognize their own strength. Today, her presence in music and media stands as a reminder that growth does not always come from comfort, but often from the difficult process of starting again within oneself and rebuilding.